Welcome, viewers, back to the Preaching Humanist with David Oliverio, that is I, where no God is required for a life of love, joy, peace, fulfillment, meaning, and purpose in life. And the good life is one guided by reason and motivated by love. Today, I'm going to talk about dehumanizing atheists. It's very prevalent in our culture here in the United States. Preachers and other Christian leaders and religious leaders enjoy dehumanizing atheists. I'm going to talk about this today. I'm going to use an article written by a psychologist and activist by the name of Valerie Tirico. She has written many good articles, has many good talks about free thinking and coming out of religion into freedom, into humanism and atheism. So I'm going to read an article, and I'm going to do a little expounding, upon the topic, and we're going to talk about this. So the article was written back in 2015, which was a major or a bad year as far as mass shootings here in the United States. Over 475 people were killed. So we had a lot of shootings and mass killings in our country in 2015. So I'm going to begin right here with the article. When Bill O'Reilly recently tried to pin America's spree of mass shootings on atheism rather than guns or mental illness, he hoped to tap a specific set of beliefs that is common among Bible believers. And oh yeah, it is very, very common among Bible believers. We know that there were a lot of bad things done in that year of 2015. The sprees of killing and so forth was pinned upon those of us that are more secular by many Christian leaders, instead of guns and mental illness. So the Bible believers believe that morality derives from religion. What's new? We're very acclimated and accustomed to this argument, which I get all the time, that morality comes from religion or from the Christian God. And that born-again Christians are a light unto the world, while atheists who lack any basis for ethics and morality spend their empty lives in pursuit of money and sex. Now, some of you fellow atheists are thinking, oh, people don't think that about me. People don't think that about the atheist movement or atheism or humanism. This is all fabricated. This is all lies. Well, the truth is that a lot of Christians think this. I know because this is what I do. I go into churches. I go out and talk to people all the time, believers, and many are surprised that we are moral and good. They also believe that when Christians get raptured or otherwise lose the upper hand, America will descend into the orgy of sex, violence, and anarchy. So there is this pervasiveness in the Christian movement that secularism promotes anarchy, secularism promotes sex. Well, I don't know if there's anything wrong with that. It doesn't sound too bad to me. And violence. Now that does sound bad to me. So when I discuss this with believers, that morality does not necessarily come from a God, and that violent, immoral, or what they call evil behavior does not necessarily prove that there's evil from a fallen angel called Lucifer. And this is the spiritual warfare of light versus darkness. And I begin to explain to believers that this is basically just dual human nature. There are people that have chosen to perform their acts more on selfish behavior, others in more unselfish behavior. So we understand, those people that read science and reality understand there are answers for why certain people do the bad things that they do. It doesn't mean that there's evil in the world and Satan causes all the bad. So the Christian right likes to tell their people, we're talking preachers. I go to churches all the time. I hear the message that atheists and secularists are the scourge of the earth, and we are promoting sex, violence, and anarchy. What I like to call this is moral capital. Moral capital is a belief with many believers that there's a stash or an abundance or capital of moral and ethical behavior from the Christian religion and the Christian God. And we who identify ourselves as secularists, atheists, and humanists are living and taking from that stash of morality, from this capital from the Christian Bible. And when this capital is used up, look out, because our country will fall into violence and anarchy. Well, this is what many, many believers hear on a steady basis. To many believers, 1,000 repetitions equals a truth. 1,000 repetitions does not equal a truth. You must present evidence. Let me continue. This view feeds both righteous superiority and genuine anxiety among conservative Christians. And here's a particular comment on Facebook, written by a particular very Christian woman. Quote, "Atheists shake with contempt at the thought of love and decency." A lie, a complete lie. That's why I'm an activist. That's why I have to go out and inform believers that we are not motivated by evil and lying. And we do believe in love. Love is not that Christian virtue, but it's a human one. And we have decency. She goes on to say, their whole lives are dedicated to nothingness, to the gaping void of pain that nihilism defines. And I've discussed this many times on my channel on how believers expect atheists to all be living in the abyss of nihilism. Well, actually we're not. Most of us are very happy people. So let me go a little further. Let me put my glasses on so I can read. I can't see this. The article goes on to say that Calvinists, I think most of us understand what Calvinism is. John Calvin was a French philosopher. He was 8 years old when Martin Luther posted the 95 Thesis, and he was in the same era as Martin Luther. So Calvinism basically, and other fundamentalist theologians, teach that humanity is utterly depraved. Now, some of my atheist friends are saying, I've never run into a Christian that believes that humanity is utterly depraved. Well, that, my friend, is the message of the Bible, of the gospel. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. No one can do good without God. The whole book is given to humanity let us see that we need to be fixed and repaired by the Christian God. So they believe that humanity is utterly depraved and that the only hope for our fallen world and fallen individuals is the saving blood of Jesus. In the words of mega minister, now here's something I want to really expound upon. Mark Driscoll is a major megachurch preacher here in the United States, an evangelical fundamentalist Christian who believes the Bible is God's word. Quote from this particular preacher, Mark Driscoll. If the resurrection didn't literally happen, the resurrection of Jesus from the dead, they believe happened, here's what would happen. There are guns to shoot. There are people to shoot and kill. There are parties to be had, and there are women to be had. Well, if he would actually look at quantitative evidence and data, most of us that are more secular or more progressive liberals are those of us that are anti-guns. And guns do actually kill people because people use guns. So people and guns together kill people. We are the peacemakers. And I love it when I go into rural communities, when I visit my clients in the suburban areas of Austin. I'll see signs up, blessed are the peacemakers, from the scripture, quoting from the Sermon on the Mount. The peacemakers. Well, to be honest with you, most people that are pro-war and pro-violence tend to be believers in a particular religion or God. Those of us that are more progressive liberal and atheists and secular humanists, I would say we are the peacemakers. We're the ones that want one world together, one species, one race called the human race. We're lovers, not fighters. So again, these are the implications and beliefs that Christians encounter Sunday mornings and from Fox News about we who are atheists. And most of these are lies about us. Parties to be had and women to be had. Well, the implication again is that we party. Well, I go to parties. Nothing wrong with that. And when I was a Christian preacher, we used to go to parties. Nothing wrong with parties. Here's another quote from the same particular gentleman by the name of Mark Driscoll. Quote, I've largely moved toward the N.T. Wright. Now, N.T. Wright is a New Testament scholar and retired Anglican bishop, so a big-name preacher and Bible scholar. So, Mark Driscoll said, I'm moving more toward the N.T. Wright view that, here we go, as people, as human beings, move further and further away from God, the Christian God, they become less than, I'm quoting, human. We, in their minds, several preachers' minds, become less and less human. The dehumanizing of atheism. My dear atheists out there listening, don't be fooled. Many believers are told, because I talk to Christian preachers a lot, and I listen to them preach, they tell their flock that we are less than human. They may not use those words, but we have been deceived by the greatest liar of all, of the devil. So in this particular preacher's view, we become less than human the further we lack belief in a God. Let's move along. Politicians, I'm reading from this article, like Sarah Palin. Some good Christian satire here. Play along with this logic to keep Christians, conservative Christians, involved in politics. Sarah Palin's quote, the logical result of atheism. This is Sarah Palin. Many Christians share this view. The logical result of atheism is severe moral decay. Her evidence is the former Soviet Union and Russia. Well, I've discussed this on my channel before, the difference of organic atheism and the difference of coercive atheism. There are bad ideologies out there in countries who may have been atheistic, but they were run by someone who was not a very moral and ethical person with an ideology that moves away into control, dictatorship, and so forth. Organic atheism are the countries in Western Europe that are democratic, socialistic countries where people come to atheism on their own. They're not coerced, they're not forced into it. These countries in Western Europe, Australia, Canada, and so forth, healthy societies, healthier than us in America, and less religious. These are people that have not been forced into atheism, but rely on reason and evidence, more education, and they do it that way. So, no, Sarah Palin, you're wrong. We don't fall into severe moral decay. In this worldview, back to the article, in this worldview, the growth of secularism, which is what I'm pushing, more secular in our society, the better. The growth of secularism means the growth of moral bankruptcy. Modernity is a grim slide into an end times world where everybody, here we go, lies, cheats, and takes whatever they can get. So, Christians escape, they go into heaven during the rapture. Many people believe this, and we're left behind, and we fall into lying, cheating, and taking whatever we can. Here in America, this dark tide can be held back only by Christians in high places. So, believe it or not, my friends out there who are secular and humanist and atheist, we are approaching 4 years here in the year of 2016, where we have a man who will be our vice president, who believes in a 6,000-year earth. We have people on this cabinet now in the Republican Party that believe that creationism should be taught in school classrooms. We have a vice president that does not believe in evolution. Will have a vice president very shortly that believes in fundamentalist Christianity and the only hope for our country is turning to Jesus. I hope he does not try and attempt to break down the precious wall of separation of church and state. It is time for we who are secular to stand up against this. The movement on the right, called the Christian right, their main objective, they may not tell you this, but I guarantee I know what it is for many of them. They want a Christian theocracy. We must stand up against this. We want a secular society. We want free speech. We want equality. And this secularism works for believers and unbelievers alike. So yes, you may be wondering, oh, I've never run into believers who dehumanize atheists. Well, my dear friends out there, it's very prevalent. It's very pervasive. I hear it from the Christian pulpits every weekend when I go. I hear it from Christians. I hear it from the leadership in the Christian movement. And I also hear it from Fox News. We have been dehumanized. We must stand up. We must tell people the truth, that we're human just like they are. We love, we have happiness and joy. We care and share just like them. So thank you for watching the Preaching Humanist with David Oliverio. Have a wonderful day.